Hey, man, welcome to the Ace Micheals Show. I'm Ace Micheals, and it's my show, and that's what's up. And if you ever want to be on the show, you can. It's super simple. All you have to do is send us an email. You can email acemichaelsshow@yahoo.com, and that way we can get you on the show. You can also call the number that's on the screen. You can call, and you can be a guest on the show. By being a guest, it gives you the right to speak your mind. You can come on and speak your opinions, voice your ideas, conjectures, beliefs, premonitions, you name it. You can do all that on the show and more. I have to say, if you have it on your chest, come be a guest. That's what's up. Today, I want to welcome Malia to the show. She is doing a lot of things. She's a fighter in life and on the stage, if you will. And she's also a stunt woman. She is also beautiful. That's a job all to itself. I know from experience, homie. Trust me, it is a job to be fine, okay? Anyway, welcome Malia to the show, and she'll tell us more about what she's all up to. How are you doing, darling?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Michael. I really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. I'm happy to have you on board. So I found you on that world-famous social media, and not in that way. But I couldn't stop looking. I was like, what in the world? What in the world? And then I saw that you did stunt work, and I was like, I can't believe somebody actually gets to punch this pretty face. But then that's why you're good, because they don't get a punch, they don't land a punch.
I'm still pretty, so I guess I'm good at my job,
right? You do
so,
right. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that very much.
So you do your thing, right? So first thing I want to know is why such are you a thrill seeker? Like, why do you do such extreme things for a career?
Well, I guess to begin with, I do a little bit of everything. I mean, I've been living in Vegas for about 4 years. I'm from New Mexico originally. Alamogordo is my hometown.
Nice.
Do you know anything about Alamogordo?
I used to be the mayor of Alamogordo.
Did you
actually.
really?
Yeah, that's
really.
it.
So you're familiar with the Manhattan Project then?
If it's down by the library, yeah. No.
Not quite. All right. So a little bit about my hometown. The population's
Sure.
about 35,000. And they actually tested the Manhattan Project, or the atomic bomb, on my hometown.
And look what happened. You see?
Radiation.
That shit works. Radiation works, yo. This is what happens with radiation. I love it.
So we were actually probably one of the very few only Asian families growing up in New Mexico. I'm half Chinese and white. And anyway, so my dad and my grandpa are the Chinese side. They came over right after World War II from
wow.
China. And the grandpa started with Chinese martial arts, and he put my dad into Taekwondo. My dad and my grandpa were both black belts and instructors. So they had 2 daughters, just me and my younger sister. And between the two of us, I was pretty much more of the boy of the family and became the tomboy. So I started off with martial arts at a very young age, and just grew and progressed with it. I joined my first Taekwondo school when I was 7 years old. I became a black belt when I was, I want to say, about 13 years old, and I started competing on a national level then. Became a world champion and nationally ranked up until I was about 16. So.
I have to say, I love martial arts because it's like you're saying to somebody, I'm going to kick your ass, but as a dragon might kick your ass. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to show you like how a rooster might kick your ass. You know what I mean? Like it's such an art form of fighting. It's like you're still fighting. The point is still to beat somebody's ass, but you're doing it in such an interesting way with martial arts.
It's definitely, to me, definitely a form of spirituality, and it's a lifestyle. And it's definitely helped me channel a lot of aggression in my life. And it makes you to the point so where you actually, after been practicing for so long, you're pretty mellow about it. You're like, I know I could kick somebody's ass, but at the same time, you have like a high level of empathy for them. You're like, it really isn't worth it, you know.
Right.
So a lot of times, and I taught martial arts for many years, and I specialized with 4- and 5-year-olds. And I launched a couple of different programs across southern New Mexico, specializing with 4- and 5-year-olds. So it's like when you have that mentality kind of as a teacher, you know, you can see, you know, people's, like their errors and their technique. And instead of like, you know, choosing to rip them apart, you choose to like build them up and make them a better person. So.
Now, have you ever had to use your martial arts, I don't want to say to save your life necessarily, but like, have you ever been in a situation where you didn't plan to use your martial arts, but you had to?
Actually, it's been a really interesting story as far as like street fights are usually concerned, or, you know, people getting feisty in the bars, or people hurting my loved ones. Very few and far between, because most of the time I've had situations before where I'm like, you don't want to do this. You really don't want to do this. I do this for fun. This is not good for you. And I'm laughing about it, so they kind of think I'm a little crazy, and it diffuses a lot of it.
Right.
Interesting enough, though, martial arts has completely saved my life entirely before. I got married at a very young age, and I ended up being divorced too at a young age. When I left my marriage, I had absolutely nothing. And this is when I was moving from Alamogordo, so I actually had an opportunity to relocate to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which at the time was definitely a fight capital of the United States. Like some of the greatest MMA fighters were coming out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, particularly
Really?
Jackson's Academy. So one of my former instructors, his name is Ray Yi. He used to train major fighters such as Donald Cerrone, Jordan Espinoza right now, Claudia Godey. He reached out to me. He's like, hey, I know you're going through a rough time. Would you like to come move out here? You can stay in my house, and you can train and start over. So without hesitating, I took it and I jumped for it. So I literally spent probably a good few years of my life just teaching and training, and that's how I got into stunt work and modeling. He was a part of a stunt team out there in New Mexico, and at the time New Mexico was like a big filming capital because of tax breaks. So they were shooting stuff like Terminator, Breaking Bad was shot out there, Saving Saul. So they had a pretty good network of union jobs out there. I got picked up into the stunt team and just never really looked back since then.
Wow.
So, but like it's one of those things, like when you dive into it, like it's definitely saved my life before, and like that's all you know, you get really good at it.
Right. And so in the stunt world, like what do they teach you? They teach you I would imagine they teach you how to fall, how to jump through a glass without it hurting you so much, or they use special kind of glass. But like what other kind of stuff do they teach you in a stunt environment? Like teach you how to take a punch?
So the interesting thing is stunt work is usually all manipulated by wires, camera angles, and pads. So if you are a professional stunt person, you never punch anybody. No contact is actually even made in a fight scene. A lot of it is reaction, time-based, camera angles cheated. So it's a bunch of different training like that. Falls are usually the very basic thing that you absolutely have to learn. Interesting thing about people who are getting into the stunt industry is there are stunt teams that you can train on, but usually most stunt actors come from an extreme background of some sorts, whether it's martial arts, gymnastics, it could be race car driving, motorcycles. So it's just, there's different types of stunt people for just about anything.
Wow. Wow. So at this point, you're a pro. You're a professional stunt person.
I wouldn't say pro. I am union, yes. It's something that I definitely seek out and I'm very passionate about. I think out of all the different things that I dabble in, from modeling, acting, dancing, martial arts, probably stunt work is probably where my heart is. And anytime I get an opportunity to do so, then I will definitely jump on board and make that my priority.
And that is what's up. So then, now in addition to doing the stunt work, you do modeling, which to me, it would seem like it would be considerably easier coming from the stunt background to go to the next day and do a modeling shoot.
It just kind of depends. So my sister she's an international model. Her name is Corey Yi. She's been published in Boudoir, and she has a couple other big ones in the works that I can't release yet. But
Sure.
She was actually more of the girly girl between the two of us, and in fact, she was the ring girl at some of my MMA fights.
That's crazy.
So she, when it comes to modeling and photo shoots, it's just a totally different type of thing. For me, it's easier to go, jump off a motorcycle or roll around on the ground than it is for me to actually do my hair and makeup. So it just kind of depends. There's a lot of effort put into modeling that a lot of people tend to. They underplay it a lot, with the Instagram model term and all of that coming out. I'm like, it's a lot more work than people credit these girls for. They're marketing their own brand. They have to have a business sense. And it's just looking at the details of things. Between me and my sister, I'm definitely more of the tomboy. So that kind of stuff is a little bit more tedious to me. And I'm like, okay, it's definitely a lot more work than, showing up on set and just rolling around on a bunch of mats. So.
Right. And what's interesting, you say you're the tomboy, but you're comfortable showing a lot of body. Your pictures, they're classy, but they're sexy.
Thank you.
And what's that like? You go to the set and you're like, okay, you guys ready? Let's do this. You know what I mean?
Pretty much, it's just when I moved to Vegas, I moved here about 4 years ago, and I started to go into the entertainment industry a lot more heavily. My very first job, I was actually working at Excalibur, doing a promo for the Tournament of the Kings. So I dressed up as a princess all day, and I ran around the castle taking pictures with guests. It's just like I got comfortable with it very much. So I'm definitely comfortable with my body. I have no problems, like, you know, showing skin or being sexy. I think it's definitely a strong point of being a woman. And a lot of people tend to be drawn to me because, you know, I'm pretty. But who was it? I believe it was Nicole Arbor, Ronda Rousey. It's like, you know, be pretty, but do something more with it. And that's more or less what I do try to empower. It's like, I mean, looks can get you so far, but in the end, you know, it's you have to accomplish more than that to feel good about yourself.
Now, speaking of empowerment, this week in particular, we're talking about empowerment in entertainment. You know, I'm a black person. I don't know if you know that, but in my roundhouse, my community of people, the biggest thing was there were a lot of black actors for a long time. There weren't a lot of black comedians being represented. So black people were up in arms. We were pissed off. Like, we never go to the movie theaters and see ourselves. I remember the first day that I went to a movie theater, and there was, for each cinema, there was a black lead actor in every film. And that was revolutionary to me. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know there was more than Eddie Murphy and Bill Cosby. So now, the same thing is true for women. When I was growing up and watching movies a lot in high school, there really weren't that many female lead actors. There were lots of women who would get to play James Bond's girlfriend, but you really didn't get to go more than that. Like, okay, she falls down, she's almost dead, she looks cute, we see her leg, part of her panties. But we never got to see the depth of actors like we see now. We see women directors. First off, would you agree with that? Would you say that there's a lot more opportunity as a woman in the entertainment business now?
I believe doors are definitely opening for women in the industry.
And what about an Asian white woman?
Asian white woman? I think so. I mean, I can play multiple different looks too, so I believe it definitely is. And it's exciting to see all that, and just like not only in Hollywood alone, also in MMA. Like, it's gone leaps and bounds, you know, courtesy to Ronda Rousey opening the doors on that. But so it's just, women are coming a long ways, and we're coming in a totally different style than a lot of men. You know, some of it can definitely be controversial, considering, you know, like sometimes, yes, women do show skin, you know, to make it on camera. That doesn't, I don't think it, you know, how can I say that? Like, you know, makes them look anything less, or should be thought of anything less of. You know, people use the tools in life that they are given, and if, you know, they're being sexy or whatever, and that's their game, that's their end. So.
But it definitely used to be. Like, have you seen the show on Netflix called Glow?
I've heard of it. I have not watched it yet. I honestly don't watch too much TV. I'm a little bit more of a reader. I'm kind of a nerd, but.
Well, this show Glow is a great show it's based on the ladies of wrestling.
And those are amazing stunt actors too. I think they're some of the highest level of stunt actors in the industry.
Really amazing show. But one of the things about the show is I was watching, and it's very funny. The guy said something to one of the girls like, you know, when you get done working out, you can come back in my cabin and give me a blowjob or something. And it's played for a joke, but that was real. That was how it was in the 70s. It wasn't like a joke. It was like,
I've heard stories about like the casting couches and, you know, these acts like these Me Too coming out. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow.
Right, yes. You know? So, I mean, we definitely, you as a professional person working in industry, I mean, would you say we've come a long way from that, right? No one's ever said anything that's really expletive to you, like, hey, when you get done, come on over, or you looked really cute in them blah blahs, darling.
I mean, you definitely get like a good degree of that, but you know, like at this point, I've just kind of like, you know, I've learned how to like kind of filter it, and, you know, shut it down.
With all your training, somebody would say something like that too?
You know, it's kind of like a double-edged sword too with being a trainer, because like a lot of guys, like I notice it immediately, like when I tell them like, oh yeah, I'm a fighter, and things like, oh yeah, you're a fighter, so you can kick my ass, you know, and I'm like, oh honey, stop fantasizing here, really. You don't want me to do that. In fact, honest to me, it's a complete turn-off with that. Right, I'm still a woman. I still like a guy to be a guy, but yeah, I still get it to a pretty good degree. And I'm just like, honey, you're a man. Come on now, act like it. But,
Do this just for your camera.
okay.
Do this with your hands. Just go like this.
Just you want
Yeah,
to
do like a move with your hand, like a. Love it. Okay. And later we're gonna put the sound effect like.
All right. I should have done my nails today too.
And then do your mouth like, damn you, kill him, my brother. Okay. Anyway.
Oh, I was gonna say, is this like the Chinese ones, the voiceover?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought so.
We're gonna have you come on the show another time, and we're gonna have you teach somebody how to do something.
Okay.
I don't know who that person will be.
All right.
It won't be me because I can't learn how to do nothing. But it's gonna be somebody who's teachable, and you'll teach them how to do something on the show.
I prefer if it's not one of those males that are like fantasizing either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's not have you tell me, break the wrist, walk away. Break the wrist, walk away.
Yeah.
So if you had a piece of advice you want to give somebody, let's say somebody wants to be you 2 years from now, they're just getting started and they're like, oh my gosh, I really want to be like Malia, I want to grab. What would you tell them? What would you tell them to look out for, or watch out for, beware of, or look forward to?
You know, I think like the biggest advice I would give anybody like in life is do what makes you happy, and trust your gut instinct. If you got a bad feeling about something, don't do it. And then be very conscious of who you keep in your company. I haven't always had the greatest instructors. When I relocated to Albuquerque, I definitely did. I started training with some of the best in the world. So it's like if you want to be the best, you want to succeed, then you need to surround yourself with people who are on that level, and then always bear in mind that there's always a lesson to be learned in any given situation. So be open, be receptive. I never like to come off as arrogant or anything like that. I always say, always be approachable, because you never know what random stranger may come up and approach you and might have some advice or an opportunity for you, especially living here in Vegas too. It's like you never know who you're going to meet. But yeah, just keep a close circle of good friends, shoot for the stars. So, and
that is what's up. Hey man, there's a lot of ways I could close the show, but I can't close it stronger than that. So you heard her, and I'm going to add to that. It's Ace Micheals. Make sure that you support Malia on the social media. Find her on Malia Moon and the links below. And as I say at the end of every show, and I still mean it, live the life you love the life you live. Thank you.